videos of us dancing to the song Power, and it felt appropriate to reach out to Ye, speaking about things, talking about his mode when he wrote the song. When you wrote the song Power, why did we have it as our hype song? Because the song is about the ability to find it within yourself to become what you know you are capable of becoming inside of a matrix. When you just realize everything is dishonest, that everything is performative, that people are dishonest, that they are going to try to stop you from being great. In fact, it's the end of the song. The question that he asks at the end of the song, that's the most important. Ye asks, do you have the power to let power go? Do you have the power to say no to power? I told you guys that Charlie was going through a spiritual transformation at the end, and all of the usual suspects were really angry that I hinted towards that. What do you mean? You're not allowed to say that. They were attacking me, trying to make me fearful to speak out and speak about the things that I know. I'm not feeling very fearful right now. I am, like I said, very angry. And I found, Charlie's favorite portion of the song. I'll show you the text between him and I, because this feels very relevant right now. This is, again, lyrics directly from the song Power, but I just needed time alone with my own thoughts, got treasures in my mind, but couldn't open up my own vault. My childlike creativity, purity, and honesty is honestly being crowded by these grown thoughts. Reality is catching up with me, taking my inner child. I'm fighting for custody with these responsibilities that they entrusted me. That's a moment where he is really speaking about how hard it is. Like when you're saying, no, this is what I believe. And they say, you're not allowed to believe that. You feel like you are fighting for custody of yourself. And I want to be very clear that I believe, in fact, I know that towards the end, Charlie was fighting for custody of himself. I want to say that. I want to say that plainly. And there are lies that are being told and they need to be slapped down right now. There's one person who's been out there acting like he is a widow, just saying the absolute most, tweeting first about what happened to Charlie, following it minute to minute, and doing hits in a foreign country, right? Like making time to do hits on Fox News, 2 of them. BP Netanyahu who's fighting, I think, like an 84 front war with everyone, made a lot of time for Charlie Kirk. You would have thought they were the best of friends, as close as him and Trump were. But I will say, I don't recall Erica mentioning Bibi Netanyahu in her speech. The way he's presenting it is like he was this is just the worst loss for him, but I don't think that is the truth. In fact, I know for a fact.
It's my understanding she didn't mention Candace either, right? I mean, did he mention, did she mention Candace in her speech as well? Because I don't think she mentioned her either. I know I just saw the little portion that she played. I haven't seen the full speech itself. But I think a couple other podcasters pointed out that, Erica Kirk did not mention Candace either. And how old is this text message here? Like, I'm not seeing date and timestamps with these text messages to show how old they are. Because if she hasn't talked to him, let's say they didn't fall out, but they didn't maintain their closeness either, and they hadn't talked in a year or so. I mean, can you say that the anger that she has is that warranted if you've gone a year and you haven't talked to him? When is the last time she claims she talked to him? That would be my question. Hey, Wyoming gal, how you doing? And yes, why isn't she with her? Why is she not talking to Charlie Kirk's wife? She should be talking to the wife. Why is she not doing that? This is so crazy. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button coming in, please, so we can make sure this video stays up in the algorithm, because there's a lot of information that people need to hear and see in this. And, I just want to make sure this gets out to the masses as much as possible. Just like the video I did last night, correcting her once again on that lawsuit. I mean, there's no reason to lie that bad about this lawsuit. It's so crazy. It's halftime and my husband is outside. I get to see LLC. Oh, cool. Thank you so much, Wyoming gal. Thank you for rocking with us. And one of my fantastic mods here in the LLC as well. I feel like she's been having a slow mental break since being fired from the Daily Wire. Wow. She's definitely showing signs of that since she's been sued from Brigitte Macron. So what's going on, Lance McDonald? Late Vision. She talking a little too much. She is. She's saying some dangerous stuff. This is yet another world leader she's attacking here. And I don't want to say attacking, but just to put his name in this and to insinuate that he has something to do with this is very, 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 very dangerous. I think it's very reckless. Something is off with her. Hopefully her husband is seeing this. Why isn't he telling her, why don't you just come from the basement? Come on up here with me and the kids. Let's have family time. you know, she's acting like she's a widow. Exactly. But you don't see her. She has not brought on Erica to her show. She hasn't done a one-on-one interview with her or anything. Why isn't Erica Kirk talking to her directly on her platform? That would be good to see. But it raises questions as to whether or not those two have any level of closeness. And she doesn't mention Candace at all in her speech. And she has not been on Candace's platform. I mean, am I the only one that feels that way? Candace has a platform of over 4.5 million supporters, right? Don't you think that your closest best friend, whom you've lost, in a manner to which we all witness, wife would be on your show? If she wants to talk or give a statement, don't you think she would have definitely said, I'm going to go on Candace's podcast and say how I feel. Even if she's not ready to talk now, wouldn't that kind of be expected that she is eventually going to come on Candace's show and say something if they're that close? That's so crazy. Yeah, this is the most she has ever talked about him. Yeah, because when the last time she talked about him? All right, let's get back to it.
Fact that he is misrepresenting some things that happened there towards the end. So let's at first listen to what Bibi Netanyahu, just one day, less than 24 hours after Charlie died, what Bibi Netanyahu had to say on Fox News. Take a listen.
We're just heartbroken. Myself, my wife, my family, my son, actually, on his 2019 visit to Israel, had lunch with him and his wife, Erica. We're shattered first as human beings because a great human being has been taken from us. He was an extraordinary friend. He said, he wrote me a letter on May 2nd this year. He said, one of my greatest joys as a Christian is advocating for Israel and forming alliances to defend Judeo-Christian civilization. A few weeks before the tragedy yesterday, I called him and I spoke to him and I said, please come to Israel. I invited him to Israel. And sadly, that visit will not take place. But he was a defender of our common Judeo-Christian civilization. He was unbelievably excited to walk in the footsteps of Jesus here. He valued our bond, the bond between America and Israel. He did so many things to defend free speech. He had his truth. He stood up for it. But he said, you can come and debate me. He invited that debate. He certainly didn't invite the violence, the horrible violence that tried to silence him. And, this is a worldwide problem. The people on the extremes, the Islamists, the radical Islamists, and their union with the ultra progressives, they often speak about human rights. They speak about free speech, but they use violence to try to take down their enemies. Whether it's President Trump, who's been almost assassinated twice, or they try to kill me here too. But they got Charlie Kirk, and it's just heartbreaking.
Who is they, BP? Who is they who got Charlie Kirk? We don't have to actually speak conspiracies. I'm just wondering, because you said a lot there, but it really sounded like it was about Bibi trying to establish a narrative that we saw reinforced by a lot of people, that Charlie kind of made it almost sound like he died for Israel. I mean, Trump's account.
I mean, he's a world leader, so you kind of expect him to be a target oftentimes. I mean, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is going to bring up some enemies here. So I don't think the same people that would target the Israeli prime minister would target Charlie Kirk. They're not on the same level. So I think it's safe to say that it would be those who probably have been targeting a prime minister for a while. He's just simply saying, I understand, the aspect of being targeted, not saying that they are being targeted by the same people. That's how I understood that. But I don't, I wouldn't read too deep into that either, not to make this type of insinuation. Wyoming Gas says, I think Candace spoke at Turning Point at the Turning Point Action Conference in June 2024, I think. So that would be, because it's September 25, so that would be well over a year since she last spoke to him. If that's the case, I don't know. Maybe she still kept in contact with him since then. But who knows? She's not showing us any text messages with time and date stamps, so who knows? Or is it true Candace and Charlie were not so close anymore? Candace claims they were still close. Exactly. Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy because I have never heard of Kirk until this happened. Me either. I no idea who he was. I didn't keep up with him. I didn't watch his stuff. We just saw a man get executed on national television. Had no idea what he stood for or any of that. And, you know, all I know is this: he should not have been executed that way. That's just not. That's, oh man, that's dangerous and it sets a horrible precedent. I don't think Charlie cared for Netanyahu. Okay, neither had I heard of Charlie before this assassination. Yeah. Francesca, I see I'm not the only one. Yeah, y'all not the only one. I never heard of him either. Candace is into conspiracy theories. She is. She's going down this rabbit hole, and it's just wow, girl. And Candia said BB said that he's been told he should sue Candace. Candia, if he does, that's 2 world leaders that will be have active lawsuits against her for defamation for sure. 2 world leaders. You already got France behind your back, Candace. Why add on to that? That's my thing. It's none of this is what I mean by manic. You know, it's the loss of sleep. I guess she's in mourning. More of a reason why she probably should just chill off the social media for a minute. But it's hard to gauge where all of this anger is really coming from if she knows that she has not spoken with him in months. And she really isn't showing anything to prove that they've maintained communication like that to warrant this level of anger. I just, I mean, you love someone, right? But she's way more upset than the wife. And the wife is like, look, I'm grieving. I did a statement. I got to take care of funeral arrangements and my children. And that's it. Like, she's acting the way anyone that has lost their spouse that they love dearly and care for should be behaving. Candace is giving us a steroidal version of that. And it's